Hello, Debbie Haig. I head up, like Sarah said, omni-channel marketing at American Girl. Just really quickly on my background, because I think it's interesting. I started at Mattel. I'm not going to tell you the year, but I started market research, quickly went into Cabbage Patch. So I know some of you had Cabbage Patch dolls, went over to Barbie for a long time, launched Barbie Entertainment, Barbie and the Nutcracker, and then decided I really wanted to work at a movie studio, went over to 20th Century Fox for about 14 years. And then right when Disney was buying Fox, my old boss from Mattel called. She had moved back to New York, and she said, you want to head up American Girl? Because we always wanted to work at American Girl when we were at Mattel, but we really didn't want to move to Wisconsin. So she said, you could stay in LA, and you can head up American Girl. So I've been back at Mattel. Mattel owns American Girl, but American Girl is the DTC of Mattel. And it's a great opportunity because I talked to a lot of you over the last few days, and everybody has an American Girl story. Whether you own one yourself, your niece, your daughter, like everyone has nice things to say about it. So it's a really fun brand.
Oh, great, great. And maybe tell us a little bit about what an omnichannel journey is. I'm not. It is.
Let's have you do this. Now this will fun. There you go.
Now this is better. Okay. If you could just maybe tell us a little bit about a typical omnichannel journey.
Sure. Before we get into the specifics, a lot of people talk about 360-degree marketing programs, omnichannel launches. American Girl, we really do it. So are all of you familiar with our Girl of the Year? So every year, January 1st, we come out with a new Girl of the Year. I'm going to talk about Corinne, who was last year's Girl of the Year. It's one of our biggest launches of the year. It's a full year campaign, but it kicks off January 1st. A lot of time goes into it, probably like 2-3 years, where the product team, the content team, they're coming up with who is the character, what's the story. So Corinne, first Asian American who is from Aspen. She likes to ski. She, of course, has regular teenage drama. She wants a dog to become a avalanche ski patrol pup. So fast forward, and what we do is on January 1st, we keep it a secret. We try not to reveal any images because everybody can't wait to see the big reveal. So on January 1st, GMA, it launches 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Right after it's revealed on Good Morning America, it's available for sale at the stores. We have 9 proprietary stores. It goes on our site. And then the machine starts working. So I don't have any fancy slides, but pretend you're the wheel and the spokes. You guys know that slide. So the center is a 360 marketing program. GMA happens. It goes on sale. The catalog is dropping that day. Obviously, it takes a few days to roll out, but a beautiful catalog featuring all the product. Girl of the Year gets a huge, like 10-page spread. We have events at the stores that you have to sign up to go to, where you get to eat next to your dolls and you get the new product. At Aspen, we had 2 events in Aspen. First, we had an influencer event, Ashley Simpson. We had Crystal from Housewives, tons of press. Then at the bottom of Buttermilk Mountain, huge, there's a product, it's a ski chalet. So we made the ski chalet at the bottom of Buttermilk Mountain where girls can come and get the hot chocolate bar. Again, tons of press, interviewers, influencers. And then all the O&O channels are happening. So we're on Facebook, or Meta, we're on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, everything. And then the paid media kicks in, full funnel, top and the bottom. So that is an omni-channel launch.
That is elaborate and wonderful. Maybe if you could tell us a little bit about who your core customer is. You have an extra challenge because you're selling to moms, the adults, but you are really trying to reach somebody between 2 and 12. What's that like?
Yeah, so we can reach them. It costs more money. So we do need to target kids and moms. So our core girl is 5 to 10, and then we target the moms of girls 3 to 10. And it's important because we need the girl nag factor. We're an expensive product, so we need the girls to ask for it. And then mom is the gatekeeper, and she has the wallet. So you need the girl and the mom.
Speaking of money, the first time I experienced American Girl, I remember thinking, hell, I can send the kid to college or I can buy her this doll. I was a little stunned by that. How much is a typical basket, and what are they spending, and how often do they come back and do that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Our dolls are $115, and and I don't even want to. It's expensive. However, it's worth it, and that's what we spend a lot of time convincing people of. Because in order to play out the story that I talked about, you want to buy the doll, you want to buy the accessories, you want to buy the fashion. Most typical purchase is a doll and a meat accessory. Meat accessory is the accessories the first time you meet. Not MEAT, which I thought it was when I first started, but it's the meat accessory and the doll, and that's about $140. And we incentivize people to spend $145 because you get free shipping. So a lot of times you have to buy 3 items. Typically, the basket, like I said, are at least 2 to 3 items. Usually people only buy, it's $1.2 a year because the doll's so expensive, but then you add everything else throughout the year.
I was thinking Corinne likes bacon, but it's not that kind of meat, okay? So what's a typical shopping journey like? Is it usually a birthday present? Are there 5 stops along the way? How does it go?
Yeah, so usually, again, we'll get into the data part in a few minutes, but we get a lot of data. We know how many times they come back, what they buy, et cetera. They're coming back on average 2.5 times a year. So it is a birthday, and then it's Hanukkah, Christmas. And the typical journey is different for retail versus online. So retail, for the most part, probably except for New York, where people drop in all the time, retail's a planned day. You sign up for your activities during the day. You sit at the cafe with your doll. You go to the salon. You have a personal shopper if you want. You buy items. They upsell you. You have a whole cash rep impulse section at the end. And everyone who goes to retail buys, not everyone, but most people buy product. You don't take your kid to an American Girl store without leaving with a bag, okay, the red bag that we have, the berry-colored bag. The journey online is a little different. So full funnel media, you're either coming in because you saw a video, search, et cetera. You come to the site. A lot of people come 5 times before they purchase. They browse around. I'm sure a lot of people look at the price, $115. They leave, they come back again. The girl keeps nagging. And then they add to cart, and then eventually they purchase.
So on those digital stops, how are you personalizing those?
Yeah, so on the site, there's a lot of personalization efforts that are getting better every week. Because like I said, when I started, we had the data. We didn't really do a lot with it. And it's resources. People talked about this yesterday. You have to have the right people in-house. You have to have the data scientists. Then you have to be able to build customized creative templates, get it out there. But one important initiative has been, there's a lot of people that add to cart and abandon their carts right now. And so we will send personalized emails. So if you put something in the cart, hey, you forgot your doll. If someone bought a doll, we'll say, hey, you should buy accessories and fashions that go with it. If they bought a dollhouse, we'll say, hey, you need some living room furniture, kitchen set to go with it. So we're getting a lot more smart about our data.
Okay, so you mentioned the stores, and except for you New Yorkers, it really is a big deal. So talk to us about what they're doing online before they make this, can I call it a pilgrimage? It's a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
What that's like.
Yeah, we compare it to, for girls, a day at Disneyland. Like you create memories. Moms and grandmas and daughters go together. You go with your friends. Birthdays are the ultimate experience. I'll save that for a minute. But even if it's just you've been saving up, your mom promised you a day at American Girl. People drive 250 miles. It's usually less than 250 miles. But you sign up. Usually you get in. You get your nails done like your dolls. You get matching hairstyle like your doll. Then when you go into the cafe, there's these little height chairs that attach to the tables. So I would be sitting next to my doll, and if you don't have a doll, we kind of rent them so you can sit next to them. And then, of course, you pick out your products, and then you walk away with the berry bag, and very proud. And at stores, we sell a lot of doll carriers because they like to put the doll in the carriers to walk out of the store.
So tell us about those birthday parties.
Yeah, so birthday parties. Who wouldn't want their birthday party at I was talking to someone yesterday who went to a birthday party. You go there, you have a special room, you get like mac and cheese and there's adult beverages now. The kids have fun, tons of pictures, everybody's sitting with their doll. And again, it's how much you want to spend if everybody gets their ear pierced. We do ear piercing now in the stores. So it's the ultimate experience. What's happening now is we're getting celebs and influencers. and they don't want to pay for anything, but a lot of times they'll write us and say, hey, we want to do a birthday party at your store, and we'll give it to them for free because they'll post. So we get a lot of celebs in our stores. New York and Chicago and Dallas are the biggest for celebs and millennials and influencers. LA is opening a store June 1st in Century City, so we think that's going to be up there in New York. Yeah.
Can you name drop a little?
We've had people like Ryan Reynolds and his wife. We've had a lot of the Kardashians, a lot of the housewives. Harry and Serena, I was talking about yesterday with some people. They're kind of like irreverent influencers, but they come. We've had, a lot of people. They'll call us the day before, either my digital marketing team or PR, and we'll get them in and they'll disrupt things. But it's great.
So I think probably a lot of us think of a doll as something a child plays with at home, but this is very much experiential marketing. So you find yourself competing with like the Build-A-Bear people. What's that like?
Yeah, so if you think about the companies that do it well, Lego, Build-A-Bear, American Girl, I loved the slime yesterday, that's why I was so excited, but it's because you could have the ultimate interactive experience in stores, which is rare. I mean, again, you spend the whole day at our stores. And then there's customization. Online, we try and emulate what we do in the store. So we have a doll called CYO, Choose Your Own, so you could go from the skin color, the eye color, the hair color, any outfit you want. That's the ultimate customization. And it's tough to emulate the stores. We have a museum, which I know you referenced in the beginning, if you go on our site right now. So what it is you get to transform into the time of our historical characters. So I don't know if you guys are all staring at me like, what's she talking about? But we have historical characters throughout the decades. So if you want to learn about Addie, Felicity, it takes you to each room and you have the music and the story. So it's trying to get you into the experience. And then, of course, at the end, you have a gift store, like in a museum, and it's beautiful. And then what's great is because the content is so important and point of difference to our competitive knockoffs, we will let everybody download the first chapter of our books, so you could read all the books. And that's what really gets people into the brand. They read the books, they want to own everything, play out the stories, and it's educational in a fun way. The girls don't know that they're being taught, but the moms know they're learning about different time periods.
Maybe if you could just talk a little bit about the founding story. We didn't mention this, but I think a lot of people don't know how the Born was brand in Wisconsin, who founded it, and what she was hoping to accomplish. So just
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. So I was on Barbie at the time, and Pleasant Rowland, who's from Wisconsin, she wanted to create the anti-Barbie brand, and this is before Mattel owned them. So she started with a few characters, and it was a doll and a book and a store. So the first store was Chicago, and I know a lot of you have been to the Chicago store. And so then it just grew from there. There wasn't even a site. People had to call a 1-800 number to order their product, and it was everything has to be about the story, the detail. And then what happened is Mattel, Jill Barad, who was the CEO of Mattel at the time, her and Pleasant became good friends. Mattel bought American Girl. We kind of left American Girl alone. This is when I was on the other side for this whole time. This is the most that we've been intertwined with Mattel, and it's just for some efficiencies, like supply chain goes up now through Mattel, HR, et cetera. But yeah, she's still involved. She did an interview for us a couple years ago, and her vision, everyone tries to stay true to her vision. It's about creating memories, and so that's what we say is create a day of memories when you go to the store.
Gotcha, thank you. So that was the glamorous stuff. Maybe we can get under the hood a little bit. Tell us how American Girl is organized to blend tech and marketing. You talked about some outside agencies, Media Monks, Epsilon. What role do they play? Which media funnel like?
Yeah, so we are set up, because like I said, my boss from the Barbie days, she moved back to New York. She is the head of American Girl, and again, Mattel kind of leaves American Girl alone as the DTC. So we got to set up the way we wanted, and so I would say it's set up really well. So there's the product content side, and then there's the commercial side. So I head up all the commercial side, which includes the site. And I think it's critical because when you think about the consumer, whether the consumer is buying at the store or online, it's the same consumer. It's the girl and it's the mom. Obviously, we want them to go to stores and experience it. So we are set up where the vision, the merchandising vision, it's one vision. So then when you think about my full funnel marketing budget, again, I need to get people to buy American Girl. I don't care if they buy in store or direct. I want them to buy. I want them to buy multiple products. And we're challenged. Like on Barbie, you have Target, you have Walmart, you have Toy Books of Amazon. We don't have any of that. So I have to do a lot of branding as well as the conversion tactics. And are you all familiar with the leaky bucket phenomenon? So as girls, it happens in toys. They age out. Like it used to be 12, 13. Now it's like 10, 11. They are no longer playing with dolls, or they're just pretending that they don't play with dolls, but we lose them at 10. So we need to keep filling the bottom of the bucket. That's what we call the leaky bucket. So we have a really tough job because we need to retain the people that we have, which we do well. We need to get them to buy more and come back every year. But we need to fill the new bucket with acquisition. So again, we talked about this yesterday. The budgets are getting tighter. I still have to do top of the funnel. I have to do mid funnel. I have to do bottom of the funnel. And we do have the help of a lot of agencies because we're lean. So we use Spark Publicists. I think some Spark people are here. They help us with the top of the funnel, the partnerships, connected TV, all the way down to the bottom with search display. We use Epsilon, that's part of Publicist. We have tons of first-party data, but they help us with lookalikes for some acquisition. Catalog, we do acquisition as well as retain. So there's a lot going on.
Okay. How do you manage your multi-channel mix these days, and what is your kind of rule of thumb for making sure you're talking to the right consumer at the right time and the right way?
Yeah, so a lot of national messaging. So we do, if you go on and you like our channels, you'll see that we come out probably 5 times a week social, and that's Facebook, Instagram. We have a TikTok channel. We send out emails, and we'll always have like, here's the new product, here's new content. And then always in there, we'll say, go to retail. And then on our site, there's always information on the 9 proprietary stores, how to plan your day. And then we also do a lot of geo-targeted specifically for retail. So if we know you live within the 250-mile radius, you'll get emails where it will say, hey, we have an event coming up, you should sign up. So we do both. We do national and then specific retail emails.
Yeah. Great. How close are you to full automation these days, and why aren't you there yet?
Full automation, I don't know if we'll ever be there, but no, probably one day. When I started, we had the data, we have the insights. It's hard. So we brought in Media Monks probably a year and a half ago for Mattel and American Girl, and their job was to help us. Mattel is different because they don't have all the first-party data because they go through the mass accounts. We have all the data. We just weren't doing a good job of using it. So the first thing they did is we had to get a CDP going, and I don't want to get too techie, but basically we had to have the data in one place where it's clean and we can use it. So we're in the process now where it's there. We now are doing a bunch of small tests, creating the audiences. So instead of doing everything manually like I talked about, we're going to be able to say, hey, anyone with an abandoned cart, we're going to send them this. If they bought a doll, we now have templates where we serve up the accessories. If they bought an accessory, we serve up more accessories, the dollhouse. So it's definitely getting more automated, but there's always challenges. And when you asked how we were set up, you still have IT in another group that goes through, actually Mattel, but it goes through the CTO. And there's competing priorities and just basic things you take for granted. Like when we do shopping links, our links are broken sometimes. Like our IT group has to evolve because the more data and personalized data we do, nobody's done that before at Mattel. So that's what Media Monk says is probably the biggest. They do a lot of big companies, and they said that's the biggest problem is we have the data now, we have the systems, it's having the right people being able to use it.
So let me kind of ask the same question another way. If right now you were hired to start American Girl all over again, how would you build your department to make it more efficient?
I think we are set up the right way. I think we need some help, and we're positive because, I mean, this isn't a good thing, but a lot of the tech companies have been laying off for the last month, and a lot of them are in LA. So we're hoping to get some of them on board, American Girl and Mattel, because they're going to be the ones that help us and train people, because we do need all the teams to be ready for this. And it's new ground for most people. But I think the way we're set up with like the product and content, and then on the commercial side, seems to work. And I've seen other companies, and even at Mattel, where e-com doesn't go through marketing, and then you just have competing priorities. You have competing budgets, where again, is I'm driving consumer demand, and again, I don't care which way they come in, because I'm over both. If I was only over retail, I would treat things probably differently than if I was over direct and retail.
Old school question. You mentioned catalogs in terms of the launch of the Girl of the Year. That's a tactic retailers have massively moved away from and is sort of coming back. How do they fit in, and what do they do for you?
Yeah, and it's funny, when I started, all there was catalogs in American Girl. There was no digital marketing, and there were about 10 catalogs a year. So we needed to cut back. We did a lot of research, and we found 5 is probably the sweet spot. Go out there with 5 a year. They're beautiful. Catalogs are different than digital marketing. You keep them, you circle what you want, and you give it to mom, who gives it to grandma. We have probably 5 big launches a year, so it's time to that. And catalogs are becoming more important, and direct mail pieces, because we learned that emails, how many of your inboxes have 10 times the amount of emails they did pre-COVID? And that's what we're hearing in all of our research, that emails are getting a little less effective in my industry, and that the direct mail pieces are becoming more effective. So we are testing lapsed customers, which I won't go into because that's in the loyalty section, but we're following it up with direct mail pieces instead of just emails.
Okay, so we know your core customer are little girls today, but there's a lot of millennial love. There's this big trend toward nostalgia. I'm always amazed at how many like New York Magazine articles there are that reference you. How might do you think about bringing adult buyers back into the fold?
Yeah, someone asked me in the audience this question yesterday. So 2 different parts. The organic support we've been getting from the millennials is crazy during COVID. They would show up at our stores and have lunch and have to borrow dolls and take photos, and we've had articles, and we've had a lot of social posts and blogs on this. They're not buying products, though, and so what we're trying to do is we just created like notebooks and water bottles. If you go online, you'll see it. They're not buying tons of products. So it's great earned media, but our hope is they're going to become parents one day soon, and they have an affinity towards the brand. The other thing that happened during COVID is, did any of you see the memes where it was like, I am an American Girl, or I want an American Girl that ... No, you did? Okay, so we had like tons of companies, Lyft, UPS, and they were all on this bandwagon. So we tried to we didn't even interfere, because the trend would stop. But this went on for like 2 months. We had like millions, like almost 1 billion impressions on this. The other thing we're doing is we have a lot of nostalgia. So we're coming back every year, like the Disney strategy, where we're taking our original 6 characters out of the vault, and we're selling through them very quickly. They were $250. And so we do have a collector audience, so we're tripling down this year. You'll see in Q4. And so we're going to see how big is the collector base, because again, we know if the households have kids in it or if they're buying it for themselves. And we're shocked by how many people are buying it for themselves. Yeah.
Can you tip us off who's the best seller from the vault?
Yeah, we have Felicity, Kit, Molly. They all do well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, making a comeback. That's great. I was always partial to Felicity because I have a redhead, and she really liked that one. So maybe if you could just define efficiency for your brand. We usually talk about that in terms of the most effective choice you can make at the best price, but there are probably plenty of days where you are making a trade-off on one of those things. What's efficient these days for American Girl?
Yeah, and that's a hard question, because you all know you can't measure equally top of the funnel versus bottom of the funnel. When you cut budgets, what's the first thing to go? It's usually the top of the funnel, so you're sacrificing future for short term. And Mattel is a public company, so we always have to keep that in mind. But efficiency to us is, we could clearly measure bottom of the funnel, the ROAS and the cost per acquisitions. We're always looking at that, so we know it's efficient. We could pivot very easily, but because we're last touch attribution right now, like when you don't, a lot of it's top of the funnel that you can't measure. So I would say we have to be efficient while trying to keep the branding part of it, because we have competition coming at us right now. Our generation target, there's Journey Girl on Amazon, like they're all coming after us, and they're lower priced. They're not nearly as cute or detailed or don't have the story, but at $115 versus 30. So being efficient is critical, and but it's managing both the full funnel.
Okay, and if we could just look ahead a little, what do you see in terms of data transformation and personalization? What's coming our way? What's coming your way?
Yeah, I think it is critical. A big thing is we know when people leave our site, the abandon rate. So how do we get them? We know that offers work. Something interesting is we're high priced. We could give a really small percent off, but as long as the customer thinks they're getting some kind of value, they'll buy. So we will offer, we'll start with, hey, you left something in the cart. Then if you keep it, I'm telling you guys a secret because now you're all going to do it, but then you keep it in the cart a few days and then an offer comes out. So we're testing a lot of different things. We've tested free ship, which is not ideal because it costs a lot of money to ship our product if you're below the threshold. But we're testing offers. We know that people care about being first and getting their product first, so we're testing that. Just the more personalization, the better. Yeah.
In terms of sales trends, so you're affected when tourism goes up or down. It's a discretionary purchase, so you're affected by economic fears. What are the ebbs and flows like for you guys, and how do you manage that?
Yeah, so COVID, we had a really good year. So although retail, we had the shift. It was mostly direct. Retail went down. But again, people were buying a lot of toys in general because you couldn't go out and you couldn't travel. The economy right now is hurting us because we're not necessary except for holidays. People do come out for Q4. We found that last year. Like we don't cancel Christmas even in these bad economies, but the rest of the year is tough. So you'll notice with all toys, like the second half is going to be important this year again because that's when people are coming out. But there's always traditional toys, and like I said, Christmas and birthdays are always there. It's just getting people on top of those two is hard right now. Yeah.
So one of the things that kept coming up during COVID, and I'm just curious how lasting you feel it is that the nature of play with parents really changed. We were all home so much. We were spending so much more time with our children and our families. How lasting is that? We saw a little bit of this with the slime yesterday, too. And on one hand, play doesn't change. Girls have been playing with dolls since forever. But what has changed?
Just they grow out faster, and the competing, reaching them is tougher, as we know, and then the competing activities. So content is key. Hopefully we get a movie out this year. We've been trying to work on a movie. The Barbie formula. American Girl had a lot of movies in the heyday, so with a lot of stars. So we're trying to get some more movies. It's a little challenging because we're U.S. only right now, and then mostly just for girls, so we're not 4-quadrant. I'd say content is a big one. TikTok, you'll see that we just had a twins launch come out from the 90s. We had Courtney from the 80s, but making TikTok videos with your daughter and mom is a big activity. So it's more things people can do together. Yeah.
Well, the Barbie movie is a big day on my calendar. I can't wait to see that. But I think we can wrap it up here, and it looks like we're going to take some questions. Lisa?
Yeah, well, this is awesome conversation, you guys. And do we have any questions from anyone? Well, I actually was thinking, you said one thing early on, actually, when you were talking about your audience. Not only it's the young girl, I think you said 5 to 10 or something like that, and then the mom. And when you're talking efficiency and different channels, different creative, different messaging, how are you able to do that and connect to both? Like, what are you how are you able to do it in an efficient way, I suppose?
Yeah, and that's a good question. I was going to talk about that. It's getting, the more personalized we're getting, the more work on the other side. Because think about it, it used to be programmed for the platform. So you had to differ for Facebook versus Instagram. Very different audience for American Girl. Now we have we're testing different creative all the time. So think of the creative resource lists. Like we have different copy. We use lifestyle images, product images. So we're always testing that. Girls, very different messaging than moms. Of course, we have some co-view that can work. So we're getting closer. Me and my creative counterparts have to work very closely together. We sit through the agency meetings where they tell us the results and how the creative worked. Less copy, more copy. SEO that we talked about yesterday, that has to work with search. Because, by the way, we separated our SEO and search, and that was a learning. They need to work together. So now we're using the same agency for both. That's new. But it's just a lot bigger lift on the marketing, the creative teams, the people that serve all the media assets. We have thousands of assets now, and there's a lot more personalization we could do. So that is a challenge.
Well, and I would also just think in the sense of when you get a lot of earned media, obviously, and that I would think would play to the younger generations, or maybe both. But when you're talking your mix, what channels are you seeing that are working the best, and are you able to double up in terms of both generations as far as who you're targeting? So what's that mix look like that you're paying for?
Yeah, so YouTube will go after kids. That's the way we're hitting kids. Mom's more the connective and all the paid, I'd say. The paid social is moms. Kids is really the TikTok. We're starting on kids a little bit. There's a lot of legal things going on. But we do talk to moms more right now. The video, connected TV is one place we do talk to both. And we do a good job with co-view videos, I would say, because girls want to see a lot of product and the moms need the little emotional tug. So I would say video is probably the most we can do for both.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Very visual.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much. We don't have anyone to jump. Okay, so Debbie, thank you so much. Sarah, you guys were awesome. Everyone give a big round of applause.